Good morning, everybody, and welcome. Thank you very much for everybody to turn up this morning. That's absolutely brilliant. This is obviously our end of term, I guess, extravaganza for the Firestarter Forums. So we will have to work out who takes the hamster home at the end of the session. And indeed, this is our review of 2020, and I'm sure you all agree it's been quite the year. So let's have a quick run what we're going to cover in the next 75 minutes or so. We'll start, as always, with just a little bit of Zoom etiquette, just to explain how this session is going to run. A little bit of scene setting into some breakout sessions this thing, giving you all an opportunity to talk a little bit about your 20s. We always do some, and as of last month as well, we introduced a quick fire round almost where we go around the room asking people their thoughts on various topics. So we'll do that after the breakout sessions and the polls, and then we're going to have a proper trip down memory lane, talk through all the things that have been covered in 2020. So it looks like it's going to be exciting and hopefully fun session today. Real reminder, Zoom now. Everybody, most people have been on these sessions before, but everybody should know what's going on. Everybody would have been on mute. If we invite you to talk, obviously we'll unmute you, and in the breakout sessions you'll naturally unmute anyway. The best view is the full screen view, although actually part of the sessions later we ask you to go into the gallery view, but we'll explain that when we get to it. Breakout sessions we'll explain just ahead of them, but they're straightforward. You need to, and then in the open session or through, if you want to ask any questions, you'll note that in chat there is the forum identity. You can send any questions to there. So we always like to start a test poll, and as it's Christmas, we thought we'd make it a nice, fun one, just to get us all into the swing of it. So the question today, coming up on your screen now, is which one of these Christmas tunes would you like me to play on my trumpet at the end of this forum? And they are Deck the Halls, which if you don't know it, it's Ding Dong High, Silent Night, or Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, which I can never remember. So don't pick that one, please. That one. So please vote now. I know you're all going to pick Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow, aren't you? Okay. Right, I think votes again. Thank you. Kind of you. Right, you hit the one that I don't know very well. So thank you. That's very helpful. I shall practice that during the breakout sessions. So thank you. The one thing we can't do usually on Zoom is close that window for you. So please do that. Otherwise, you're going to be staring at that for the next 20 minutes. So right, let's get on with it. So I'm going to start just by giving you my really simple reflections on 2020, just to set the scene a little bit and get the thoughts flowing a little bit ahead of the breakout. So this is probably just a quick 5-minute summary of my thoughts on 2020 and certainly how it's affected our business, Firestarter, and our world. So I think after 2020, we went into 2020 all guns blazing. We had a really solid client base. We were eating our own dog food, and we got to a place where we'd done a whole lot of account planning, and we could see as much turnover just from our existing client base in 2020 as we had from our entire business, including new business in 2019. So we went into it, a huge amount of new business in 2019. So we went into 2020 feeling really buoyant, really on top of ourselves, and thinking, wow, we're going to knock it out of the park this year. I remember the start of the year, we had a good team event in January when everyone could still travel. We did an absolutely freezing treasure hunt around Cheltenham with our team. We had an innovation lab, all these things. We and it was so exciting that John Keogh, flying back to Scotland, missed his plane because Matt Wheeler didn't get into the airport on time. That was how excited we were about 2020 and a great night in a dodgy hotel in Bristol. If that, I think he slept in the air, actually. So that was the beginning of 2020, very exciting. Then February and March happened, and everything just seemed to slow down. It went on. Everybody went into batten down the road, and all the people had to renew contracts with us, renewing contracts with us, and it all just felt a little bit, wow, this is a real brakes are on moment. And I'm sure everybody recognises this kind of experience, just a whole period of uncertainty. We had a number of new team members, and we were still trying to encourage them at that time. And then about April time, kind of it started to get a little bit clearer. We started the forums, actually, and we had 5 weeks of solid forums, which I will always remember as being a kind of amazing moment where we started to bring the Firestarter community, which had largely been pretty solid client by client previously, together. And I hope this is something that we never lose. We went live with the Firestarter Academy, which is something we've been meaning to do for about 5 years. And actually, even this year, we've taken on some really interesting and new clients. So that all felt okay. And then I think we had a bit of dawn in the summer where everybody got excited and thought, yes, this is nearly the end, it'll be fine. And really, probably the last 2 to 3 months have just been this kind of battle on the way up to Christmas. And the one thing for me, which I've talked to quite a few people about, is this sense that you've almost lost the sense of adventure. Travel is not a thing anymore. Everything's done on video calls, and actually this whole sense of getting about people, great people, is gone, which that's a bit sad. So lots of really interesting things going on as well. We did the podcasts. We had 16 people do amazing, interesting podcasts on Resource. We've done the Kickstart scheme, albeit the government are doing everything they can to slow us down on that. And we've done a number of sort of tactical short-term projects with clients as well. So it's been a really interesting year, and we're doing some great work with some great people. But I don't know about you, but I'm still feeling a little bit pessimistic next few months in terms of how quickly we're going to return to any sense of normality. I'd love to think it would all happen in the next 3 to 6 months, but I think it's more likely to be 9 to 12. So my overall summary of this is that we're definitely coming out of this stronger, different, but stronger. And that language that was being used right at the beginning of the coronavirus lockdown, of this being a period of correction for society, a period of opportunity to stop, review, reflect, and then move forward in a new way. I definitely think that's something that's helped us in this last year. So mixed feeling, but generally really positive. So I guess that's my reflections. And now what we want to do is invite you all to talk amongst yourselves about your 2020, how it's changed your business, and what that means for 2021. And we're going to do this in the breakout sessions, which everybody should be pretty used to by now, who's been on these. I appreciate there's still some people here who haven't been to this before. We will put you into the breakout 20 minutes. You'll be in groups of probably 4 or 5. Hopefully you'll end up with a Firestarter facilitator. I think we've got enough Firestarter facilitators for every group. But if it's not immediately obvious who the facilitator is, if somebody's not jumping up and down and saying, I'm the facilitator, then please just nominate a facilitator amongst yourselves. And all that person will do, make sure that everybody has a voice, that you get material and get yourselves organized through the session. That's all we really want to do, all we want the facilitators to do. Please don't spend too much time on introductions. Please keep an eye on the time, because otherwise, if you're not careful, you'll just about stop introducing each other and it will be 18 minutes into the session. So the topic for discussion, it's just really one simple topic, is we just want you to have a general discussion on how 2020 has changed business. And we mentioned earlier the quick fire that we're going to do afterwards, which is basically between roles an opportunity to get the feedback from the session. We've got 2 quick questions that we'll ask after, and they are basically finish these sentences. So we'll send these, we'll post these into the breakout rooms. So by all means, write them down, but we'll also just post them into the breakout rooms as well. The first one is the good things about 2020 that I'd like to keep are ... So what are that have changed that you keep? And then when all this is over, I'd like to go back to, and the answer is not bed. When all this is over, I'd like to go back to. So the things you've really missed from what was our previous normal. So the big piece of advice we give you is please write down your answers, because what we're going to do is we are just going to spotlight around the group and kind of ask you what your thoughts are. So as few rabbits in the headlights as possible. Probably if you write down your answers, that will help. So good things about 2020 and the things that you'd like to go back to. So that is it. Enjoy the breakout sessions. I'm going to go and practice. Let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. And we'll see you back here in 20 minutes. Goodbye. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've had a good 20 minutes. I understand my sound was a bit crackly in the first half, so apologies for that, but I hope we've now resolved that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to do some polls, as always, and then we're going to move to the quickfire session, and then we're going to have a proper trip down memory lane through the excitement that has been 2020. So just before the polls, I will just give you a quick reminder on those quickfire questions, just in case you got so engrossed in conversation during the breakouts that you forgot to deal with them. So really, all we want you to do is finish these two sentences. The good things about 2020 that I'd like to keep are, and when all this is over, I'd like to go back to. And our top tip is just write down a couple of points, because after the polls, what we'll do is we'll have a quick whiz around a few people for 5 minutes or so. And just get your feedback. So let's do the polls. We have 3 polls, as always. And the first poll is about generally your feelings on 2020 and how it has affected your business. So the question is, on balance, how would you describe 2020 in terms of what it has done for your business? So I'm just checking whether you can see the poll, because I can't actually see the poll at the moment. So it may well be that that's just me. Can you just give me a nod, people? Can you see the poll on the screen? Yeah, you can. Perfect. Okay, so on balance, how would you describe 2020 in terms of what it has done for your business? So the first one is really damaged it. The second one is not had much impact on what you had previously been doing. And the third one is given you an unexpected but positive opportunity to take your business in a new direction. So let's just let everybody vote. And on the basis that I can't actually see the results or the polls, which is a very interesting moment for me, I'm going to ask Matt Wheeler, who no doubt is around and about any second now, to let us know what the results of the poll actually is. So if we...
Yep. So overwhelmingly, actually, 80% of the people voting saying that it's given you an unexpected but positive opportunity to take your business in a new direction. So lots of positive thoughts in that respect.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So now we'll move on to the second poll, and that is about your personal energy levels. So how would you describe your energy levels as we move towards the Christmas break? And the options are more energized than ever. Bring it on. We love it. No different from normal. So whether you're knackered at this time of year or whether you're just kind of going along at a nice steady pace. And the final one is I'm running on empty. So I know it's been an interesting year for everybody, but how would you describe your energy levels as we move towards the Christmas break? More energized than ever, no different from normal, or I'm running on empty. And what we'll do when we're ready, we'll share the results, and we'll invite Matt again to let you know the votes from the people.
Okay, thank you. So this time it's a little bit more even. Most people, 46% of people are saying no different from normal. But if you're like me, there are 9 people like me who are running on empty, and only a small number that are more energized than ever. But most people are still feeling the same as they would do normally at this time of year.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And then we go to our final poll, which is looking forward a little bit, which is, what's your gut feeling about how the first quarter of 2021 is going to feel? And there are 5 options here, ranging from very tough to tough to a challenge but tolerable to straightforward enough to we're going to knock it out of the park. So we'll just let everybody vote. Options being very tough, a challenge but tolerable, straightforward enough, and we're going to knock it out of the park. So just letting the final votes come in, and then when we're ready, we shall share the results and invite Matt again to let us just give us a bit of commentary on what people are saying.
Okay, so I really admire the optimism of the 4 people who are going to knock it out of the park next year. So would love to talk to you guys and know what you're going to do. But 60% of our audience are seeing this as a challenge but tolerable. So I think everybody's kind of ready for it and able to deal with the challenge. But we all know it's there.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you very much. Always really interesting, and I guess we always expect a relative degree of positivity and optimism just because of the nature of the people that come on these forums. If you were faint-hearted, you probably wouldn't be doing what you're doing. But certainly, it has been a challenging period, and I think the general sense is it's going to continue. So let's actually now move on to the quick fire session, and so we've got these 2 questions, and all we're going to do is we're just going to pop around people generally, so it's going to be as much of a surprise for me as anybody else as to who comes up, and all we'll do is we'll just ask you really quickly your quick views on these points. So the good things about 2020, and what you'd like to go back to once we return to some normality, the things you've really missed. So let's start with everybody who we want, and you just need to check you're unmuted as you come onto the screen as well. So let's go with the first person. Aha! Hello, my friend. Yeah, that's a surprise. You weren't expecting that.
Yes,
brilliant.
I was.
Right, let's go for it. So really simple. 2020. What would of the things that have changed? What would you like to keep? What's been good?
I want to keep online culture. Jumping on Zoom, I think, is a good thing.
Perfect. Okay. And what have you missed? What would you like to go back to?
I'm a stand-up comedian, and I'm gasping to get back on stage again.
Wow. Ah, right. I know who you are now. Excellent. You're Alan Tattersall's friend. Yeah. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you very much, sir. I can imagine that not being able to get on stage is very, very frustrating. So good.
Yeah.
Excellent, sir. Right, let's keep going. Let's move to the next person. Aha! Excellent. Another shocked looking face. Sorry about that. So what are the good things about 2020 that you'd like to keep?
Yeah, I think it's the Zoom calls. Love them or hate them. I think they're here to stay.
Yeah. Okay, everybody's buying into the online thing. Okay, and what about the what you'd like to go back to?
Like to get back to the office.
Okay.
There's
Yeah,
people around about me, and I think that's sometimes been confused with people's dislike of Zoom. It's actually just having people around you.
I agree.
So
It's one.
and working with the team again.
It's one thing being efficient, isn't it, in terms of the way that you're able to manage your meetings. It's another thing sitting in your spare room for 9 months. Yeah. I know a lot of people talk about the Groundhog Day feeling of getting up every morning and doing the same thing, the same routine. Thank you very much. Let's do a couple more. Aha, there we go. I do love the shocked faces. I love the shocked faces. Right, good
Thanks.
things about 2020.
My commute. I started cycling quite a lot.
Okay.
keeps me fit.
Yeah, very good.
And
so
saves me spending a lot of money on the Oyster cards.
wow. Okay. Very, very, very green. Very green. I like it. And I'll tell you a story about my my greenness at another time. And what have you missed? What would you like to go back to?
I think create more memories again. So a bit more variation over the year, and so not just flatlining.
That's really interesting. Yeah, because it's been very no offense to everybody. It's been all lovely and wonderful as you are. It's been quite samey, hasn't it? It's been a similar.
I actually heard it. I think I heard it on a podcast this morning or yesterday. I think it is. That the days feel endless each individual day, but the year passes so quickly. It's really weird balance.
Yeah, no, very, very true. Very, very true. Yes, brilliant. Well, great to see you again as well. So let's catch up. Let's do one more. At respect
yes,
to the
couldn't
hat.
find the jumper. I couldn't find the Christmas jumper, so I said I adapted.
I am the same. I failed with Christmas jumper, but this is the closest thing I could get, and then I found this hat. And I hope everybody appreciates that I've gone all in for Christmas with my my decorations as well. Right, so good things about 2020?
Good things is I am thrilled that I am now going to be able to keep at least 90% of my coaching on Zoom, which is great.
Perfect, yeah.
And the other 10% is going to be walking coaching, which is something I got into this year because we didn't want to meet, so we stayed out in the fresh air. So that I am definitely going to keep up.
That's really interesting. I think a lot of people have been quite shocked, haven't they, by how not easily but seamlessly perhaps they've been able to switch their businesses online. Actually, it's been a strange switch actually, but one that most people have moved to. And then what have you missed?
Oh, can I go to some comedy events and some music events? That's all. I want to get back out of the house. I don't like my entertainment at home. I'm out for entertainment.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not the same. It's not the same. No. So Zoom quizzes are okay, but after a while you miss the buzz of the room, don't you? I think that's very true.
Absolutely.
Okay, brilliant. Really interesting. So thank you everybody, and thanks also to the ongoing valiance of our production team, Stephen and Paddy, who month in month out battle with new challenges that we come up with, and we've got another one coming in a moment. So thank you ever so much to them for their constant focus on getting us to the best possible production standards, which is amazing. So right, what we're going to do now is we are going to try and have a proper trip down memory lane, and I know a lot of people here today have been on pretty well all of these forums over the last 9 months. I think the winner of the person who's been on the most forums is me, but after that I think it's Jack Nicol from Plaza Brennan, who I think has been on all but one of them. I don't think anybody's been on absolutely every one of them, but there has been some amazing loyalty, which I thank you very much for. So this is the 11th forum, and pretty well on each one we've had some guest speakers, and what I'm going to try and do at pace is have a whistle-stop tour of what we've done in the last 9 months. And I think the reason why this is a good thing to do is it will probably just tell the story of that very quick and slow year that we were just talking about. So let's have a quick whiz around everything we've covered in the last 9 months. So remember this, we started, the very first one we did at the end of April was with our good friend Lisa Zevi, and it really set the scene for everything we did. We talked about the challenges that bosses were now going to face when their whole businesses were being put into lockdown. And Lisa talked about the change curve and the fact that we all had to work out where we were on that and what we had to do to continue to show leadership in this period. Then, and remember at the beginning, these were weekly. Then within a week or so, everybody was talking about pivoting. what's pivoting, kind of how do we change our business, how do we adjust what we're doing so it fits with this new world. We talked just a little bit about that a minute ago, a whole new way of doing business. And we were really fortunate to have Paul and Craig with us on that session, and we talked about new ways of taking your business to market, either through social and awareness and presence and the right types of messages, or digital technology. So, and I know everybody's really had to embrace this. By week 3, only week 3, so this is 3 weeks in, we were suddenly realizing that all of our people stuck in their spare rooms, and my gosh, we've been doing this for 9 months now, a lot of us, are having to cope with a whole range of challenges. And Richard Clark, who, if you remember, runs his business from the Canary Islands, came and brought us a whole load of tips for ways of trying to keep your team motivated during this period. By the 4th week, again, we're only 4 weeks into this, so this is the pace of change we were going through at the beginning. By the 4th week, we were starting to think, will we ever be able to plan again? How can we plan when the sands are shifting so much? And we had a good session on planning, and I know a lot of people took quite a lot away from that. And then by the 5th week, we were starting to get slightly darker, because people were starting to think, wow, is my business actually going to be able to survive? Am I going to actually start to have to change my staffing levels? And it was a really interesting topic because Jane O'Gorman from 10 to 2 gave us a whole load of insight into the way that flexible working is starting to starting to come in, and really it's here to stay. And I think we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So again, that was the first 5 weeks of lockdown, and we went through all of that experience between us that quickly. We then had a month off, and by that time people were starting to talk about reopening. And actually the 2 topics there are really interesting. We had Dan Moskrop, who is a kind of an office design specialist, talking to us about the changing face of the office. Will the office ever be the same? What is the purpose of the office going forwards? And then Jack from Plaza Brennan talking about, and I always think that the Plaza Brennan story helps put everything in perspective. A national outdoor centre unable to do outdoor pursuits is pretty well screwed. So how do you run that in this type of period? And some really interesting insights from Jack there about how they were coping with it and how they were starting to welcome people back with a whole range of social distancing issues. By month 7, I guess, or by the 7th forum, we were starting to think, will our team be the right team to take us forward? So now our businesses are changing so much. How do we start to utilize our people differently? And what should our talent strategy be? And Rob Coxon joined for that and gave us some really insightful commentary on how we should be preparing our talent strategies for the months and years to come. And this eternal challenge that the team that got you here might not be the team that got you there. And then we quickly moved into a series of 3, which we've just finished, on sustainability. The first one got us to a point where we did 16 podcasts. And if you haven't listened to these podcasts on personal resilience, resilient leaders, please do. You'll find them on Spotify, you'll find them on Apple. They are really interesting stories from the people in this group here, and observations on personal resilience. I absolutely admire everybody who did them and recommend them. By the 9th session, we were talking about the impact of this pandemic on the way that we structure our green strategies in our business. And we were joined by Gareth and Sean, who between them did an inspiring job of getting us all to think about what we can be doing to change the way that our businesses have an impact on the planet. That was a really fascinating session, and I really hope that people are doing some of the things that we talked about there. And then we got to the last one where we're starting to think about our business sustainability for 2021, and really everybody had a part to play in that. And we talked about how everybody was planning and thinking about what they were going to do to power through in the first quarter of 2021. So what an amazing year that was. And I hope, just by recapping that, the story of the forums, every month now we try and pick a topic that is relevant and kind of salient to what's going on to this group of people. And I really hope that what it's done for you is just giving you the opportunity to share that with your peers. So that truly was the year that was 2020, and no doubt we shall all look back at it in 10 years' time and remember it fondly. So what I'd like to do now, a lot of those people I just mentioned are actually here today. and I thought it might be appropriate just to get a little bit of update from them on some key themes. So I'm going to just have a quick whiz around those people. And if you don't mind, I'm going to start with Paul Feeden. You may find that being in speaker view is the best view for this bit, because we're going to try and actually get everybody on screen at the same time of these 7 or 8 people. So I'm going to start with Paul Feeden. And Paul, very nice to see you again. I'm just going to switch my Zoom into speaker view so I can see Paul. Here he is, I think. So Paul, just a real quick question. Having listened to your podcast, what have your big takeaways been? What have you learned specifically about yourself and your business in the last year?
Yeah, it's been a year, that's for sure. I definitely feel that I've actually surprised myself. That's one of the big take hats of the year. I've surprised myself in how I've kind of like just actually leaned into the whole kind of challenge that we faced. And whilst it hasn't been easy, actually that's the best way we could have approached the year and dealt with it, and just really kind of taking it on board and seeing, okay, we've got to make the best of this. So actually, in a sense, embraced it and embraced the change that's come with it is the best way I can describe it.
I agree, and I think that's been a common theme across. There's been a common theme across pretty well everybody, actually. That the resilience that has been shown, and the fact that people have just got on with it. I don't know many people who have not done. Rob Coxon seems to be persistently on my screen, which is kind of the nature of the beast. So I'm going to go to Rob Coxon now, and just for, I guess the interesting thing for me is just the job market as you see it. Where's it going? What are your thoughts on it generally? Is it changed forever, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We were talking in our sort of breakout as well with Tracy from 10 to 2. So yeah, we've definitely noticed that more flexible requests are being made to work. A lot of our clients I think all of our clients, Chris, have made significant changes. So businesses have found that some sales channels have closed pretty much, and some have doubled in size. So agility in teams, flexibility to move people into different departments, flexible furloughs come along. It's just, the MDs and the senior teams that we've worked with have been really humble in most, very human, wanted to try and survive. Erratic survive mode was one of the terms that they used. And tentative thrive mode is another term that they're saying for 2021. So the talent market is really buoyant. In some areas, you're getting thousands of people applying for certain jobs, and in others, people are trying to hold on to jobs, and not wanting to move. So it is. I think it's just erratic, Chris. It's just hard to know what to plan. I think people think that you've got to get through to Easter at least, and then it'll open. But some companies are still recruiting for really specific roles. So it's quite different depending which sector and which business you're in. But I think the themes are that teams have had to be agile. There's been a huge amount of resilience, but a lot of coaching support for senior teams as well, and navigating the change and the challenges. They've stepped up to it. A lot of people have been unbelievably resilient, and I'll get through it. But obviously, with that, there's been some downsides. But an erratic market, I would say, Chris, overall.
Excellent. Well, what did you have? Erratic survive and tentative thrive. Did you say?
That's it was.
I shall be using those and passing them off as my own going forward.
Yeah,
excellent.
It was. I think it just summarised the year, to be honest, and this sort of transition into 2021 summarised it really well.
Brilliant, love it. Thank you very much as ever. Have we got Jack here, or have we not got Jack here?
Yeah, I unmuted me. Somebody else muted me. So anyway, I'm here. Would you mind? I had a mini break there. Could you just refresh my memory for the question, please?
So actually, I think we've got the wrong Jack. Actually,
Yeah.
no offense.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
No,
but I mean, I'm sure your story is a brilliant story.
No, don't worry. I've been ignored all my life. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry. Well, this is your chance to shine.
No.
How are things at Placid Brennan, Jack? Well, I guess so we were going to talk to Jack Nicol about Placid Brennan and the challenges around the challenges that they're facing now. But in the absence of Jack Nicol, and I've now lost the other Jack as well. So we'll let you off the hook, Jack. Consider yourself relieved, but I'm sure we're all delighted to introduce to you properly. Let's talk to, this is keeping me on my toe. Let's talk to Sean. Let's talk to Sean at Sozo. And I guess my question for you, Sean, really is, do you think your office is ever going to go back to the way it was? Or do you think it has materially changed the way that your team is organized? Has it materially changed forever, do you think?
Yeah, I think it has, yeah. And I don't ever want the developers back in the office again.
Excellent.
The office has never smelt so nice. And yeah, I'm quite happy with all the programmers working from home, and then all the designers and creative people being in the office.
Excellent. So you think that's a pretty permanent stay, is it, do you think?
I think it is, actually, yeah. Yeah, I think certainly as a minimum part-time, but I think working from home for most of the development team will be a permanent change. And also, you know, we'll have more remote clients as well. Everyone talks about remote workers, but we've found that we've picked up clients from New York, Milan, all over the place, which we would never.
Did you say York?
New York, not York.
Oh, New York. I was going to say York. Yeah. East Richmond. Yeah, and Milan. Brilliant. Love it. Excellent. Thank you very much. I'm going to go. I'm getting my revenge on the production guys by going completely out of order. I'm going to go to Gareth because we love Gareth. What have you missed most, Gareth? What have you missed most in 2020?
I think I miss most the gaps and reflective time around a schedule of going to do things. So we were talking earlier in the breakout group about the meetings, but I think one of the benefits of a meeting is you tickle off somewhere and you have a chance between those meetings to sort of look out the window and think, oh, look at this, like in my background here, oh, look at this lovely scenery, isn't that nice? And that helps you just kind of catch up with yourself between meetings of, you know, not even if you're doing it consciously. So I think for me, yeah, and I like being out and about anyway. I'm a country boy, farmer at heart, so I quite like that. If I've got the microphone, I'd like to challenge us really, though, that one of hopefully the big things that we've learned in 2020 is actually look at us. We think we're terribly important, we human beings, but you know, we've just been laid down as a whole human race internationally, you know, around the globe by a bug. And I think hopefully, if anything, it'll remind us human beings that we're not quite as, you know, in control as we think we are. And I think that, you know, the other reflection is that we human beings are actually kind of taking a wrecking ball, not just to ourselves, but we're taking it to the whole of the planet we live on. So I'm bound to say that because I'm a bit of a climate person, but I really think it's a good opportunity, if we prepared to reflect it. Why on earth would we take us, you know, we're all sat in our houses or offices here, you know, why would we get a big sledgehammer and go whacking our house up, which is effectively what we're doing to the planet. So that's what I'd hope to take into 2020 as a bit of a recollection and a thought going forwards on that.
I agree, Gareth. It is that corrective moment, isn't it, where we all should just reflect and go, okay, are we doing this right? Are we really doing this right? Right, we've got a couple more people to go. I'm going to go to my friend Craig, who's he's looking like he's planning to accompany me later with his excellent collection of guitars. But Craig, do you think it's all changed then? Do you think the way that people have done business is going to change permanently? Do you think the digital revolution has taken a big leap forwards? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we spoke about back in May. And at that time, we were talking about digitizing customer experiences and so forth. And that certainly happened. I was just looking for some stats this morning. I found one from Computer Weekly that said there'd been more digital transformation. Bear in mind, this is in July, this article. There'd been 5 years worth of digital transformation up until that point since COVID hit. And then another one from McKinsey, which suggested that in sort of back office stuff, people in logistics and operations had seen a 3 to 4 year digital transformation timeframe happening within the last few months, and those, when they looked at the entire technology stacks, up to 7 years of digital transformation. So that's certainly changed. Where I thought it would be more customer experience change, what we've seen in our business is really it going through to the back office. So integration with operations and finance, these types of things. People are looking at their businesses holistically, yeah, and looking at how they can transform and change across the entire organization. So that's changed our business from where we were doing, say, 1% integration to 40% integration in the past few months. So massive change for us and the way the business has changed.
Wow, amazing. And I think inevitably everybody's.
I'm hoping that reflects what's happening with you. That's the point of that. Yeah, that you guys are seeing the same thing.
I think everybody's accelerated massively, which is borne out by the stats that you're just sharing with us. Brilliant. I think I've got 2 more people left. So I'm going to go to Richard in the Canaries, the master of perspective in his on his island. Yeah. So the question for you really is just what big conclusions from the year.
That's such a big question.
I know. Yeah, we got 30 seconds of big conclusions. Go.
So I'm going to go back to the presentation that I gave in March, and mine was all about how do you keep your team connected while they're remote. Yeah. So at the time, it was all about how to create the office experience at home. So lots of social interaction, lots of informal meetings, lots of platforms for everyone to meet up, and that worked well for about 2 or 3 months. By July, we were getting feedback that it was just too much. They were just fed up with it. They didn't need all this. So we cut it back to 0. That had the opposite effect of our team just basically split up. So we sort of met in the middle. We've done a few things that have really worked. So Lisa has helped us a lot. We've started a big one-to-one program. We've really embedded it in our culture. And that has made a big difference. So we've cut down the amount of meetings we have per week, and we've made them really focused on a particular topic, and the staff seem to like that. They seem to like knowing that this meeting will do this. Even though there's a lot of social time in it, they didn't like the forced social. They're programmers, my team, so being forced to socialize didn't work. So Sean's smiling. And that's it. And I'm looking forward to going back to England. I haven't been back to England for over a year now, so I haven't seen my mum and dad for a year. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
And we're looking forward to you coming back to England as well, Richard. So brilliant, excellent. Right, okay. And then in the spirit of true bookending, on the basis that I bet you've never been called a bookend before, Lisa. On the basis that Lisa was our very first speaker on our very first forum, I thought I'd come to you last, Lisa. And my question for you is, what's been the most extraordinary thing that has happened to you this year?
Well, I mean, personally, we've made some big decisions in our life. So I'm actually speaking to you from Dubai. So we did do the whole let's leave London and go somewhere else thing last week. So personally, we've made some big changes. My whole business has been transformed this year, and I really can run it from anywhere in the world, as I'm trying to demonstrate at the moment. But I think that kind of relates to the thing that I found most striking about this year. I mean, aren't we all resilient, positive people, us business owners? You know, we like to look for solutions, and, you know, the results of your polls are all really, really positive. And I think what's really struck me is that the kind of questions that I work with my clients on, like, what do you really want your business to look like? How big do you really want your team to be? What do you really want your role to be? And a lot of times people are too busy to think about those, or they're just too much. And because of all this change that's happened to us, everybody is much more open to that, and they're asking themselves those questions, like not just about ourselves as business owners, but also about our teams, to Sean's point, and also what Richard was saying. You know, how do people want to work? What do we want this to look like? I've got a client who's saying, actually, I keep trying to grow my team bigger, and I realize I'm actually much happier with it smaller. So I think asking those more fundamental questions, I think, is really positive, not just for us as business owners, but also for our teams and for our customers. And that's what I'm really taking away from this year, is we're actually asking ourselves, what is important in my life and what is important in my business? And I, for one, am hugely energized by that personally, but also on behalf of my clients. So yeah, really good.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. And it was a leading question, because I did know that you had you'd made a big choice to move out of like the City of London, effectively, which is kind of like a major choice, but just proves to all of us, like, this has been a year of real eye-opening change for everyone. And I think those questions are really important. To Gareth's point, it does it really helps everybody just look at things perhaps through a different lens. So I would just, whilst I've got you all here, just like to say thank you very much to all of you for all of your contributions this year. It's been absolutely brilliant. So let's move on, because we're pretty well out of time, and I wouldn't want to run out of time to play Let It Snow, Let It Snow, Let It Snow. God forbid, that would be terrible. So I would just like to, and finally, really just to do some thank yous. So I'd like to thank all the speakers, as I've just done. That's been brilliant. I'd like to thank the production crew, specifically Stephen and Paddy, who have done some great stuff for us over the last 9 months. I would like to thank the Firestarter team behind me, who have done a brilliant job of facilitating, preparing, marketing this. So special shout out to Matt and Adrian and John and Rebecca and Belinda, and Dan did some work for us as well earlier in the year. So amazing contributions to this. I couldn't have done it without you. And of course, just to everybody who's been on these forums. So we're pretty well out of time. It would be completely inappropriate for me not to do a shameless plug at some point during the Firestarter forums. This is the shameless plug. Many of you know, through the Firestarter Academy, one of the courses that we do is the practical business planning course. In particular, we've been doing this in partnership with the Landscape Institute at the moment. So we're putting a whole load of Landscape Institute members through the practical business planning course at the moment. And what we've done with them is we've actually drawn the conclusion that because of the time of year, we're going to do a boot camp. So we're going to condense a 5-week course effectively into, to all intents and purposes, 5 days. So 5 90-minute sessions in the middle of January, really to get everybody focused on what 2021 should be about. So there's this brilliant video, you can see it there. We'll send it out. It's to be fair, it's designed for the Landscape Institute, but it talks about some of the business planning principles that are covered by this boot camp. And if there's interest, we'll run it for anybody on here who wants to do it, and we'll find some special rates for people as well. So we'll get that video sent out to this gang of people at some point in the next few days. And if it looks like something you'd be interested in to help you set your course for 2021 with some useful tools, by all means let us know, and we'll try and get something organized. So that's that. And then just a reminder, I always like to go back to this, a reminder of why we did these forums in the first place. And these words, which I've put up before, these were the words from the very first invite messages that I sent out to people. And I think they really strike a chord. So this is what we sent out right at the beginning of lockdown. And it says, for many years, we'd had an idea of running Firestarter forums, an opportunity for like-minded people in our network to get together, socialize a bit, and pick interesting topics to talk about, share experiences, etc. We know so many interesting, intelligent people across our networks, and so many of them are going through similar experiences. It feels as though everyone would get on, I think point proven, and we're going to have some really productive sessions. So we've never been able to get to it, but now we have. And obviously, we shall try to continue as we move through the new year to find themes that are of interest and speakers that keep people thought-provoked and allow interesting conversation between us all. So I would just like to conclude by saying thank you very much again. Hope you all have an absolutely brilliant Christmas. And Matt, you look like you're going to say something.
Before you go anywhere, I think it's an important person's been missed out in your thank yous. So I just wanted to interrupt actually and say that whilst these forums have obviously been a team effort, they wouldn't have been possible without Chris's leadership, enthusiasm, and all-round good hosting expertise. So I think you'll all agree that he's done a fantastic job over the last few months. So on behalf of the Firestarter team and the 150 or so people that have attended these forums since we started, we'd all like to say a big thank you to you and give you a big round of applause. So well done, Chris.
Thank you very much.
And we now look forward to hearing your trumpeting, so no pressure.
Brilliant. Well, that's absolutely really kind of you all to say so, and I appreciate the intervention, Matt. That's really kind. So, right, okay, there's nothing else for it. I am now going to have to treat you to let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Right, okay. I have to confess I found the music during the breakouts because I didn't actually, I didn't know it. Merry Christmas. See you in the new year. Bye, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Well done, Chris.
Well done.
Cheers, guys.